Hello and welcome to another edition of ElectricStringPlayer.com. I'm your host, Jacob Sekeli, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Luis Mascaro, and the legendary, the one and only, Scott Frazier. And today, we did a lot of really cool things, right? The first thing that we tested were the new Remic models. So that includes both the 5200 and the 5300, both the V and then the LB, which is the live version. So we tested 4 mics total, 2 for cello and 2 for the violin. And we've had a lot of experience with Remics in the past, had a great time testing the Mark 1s about, I guess, a year ago now. And Thorkild was kind enough to send us Mark 2. So what are our initial impressions, guys?
All right, I'm going to start with the less technical ones. I think Remic, as the Mark 1 version, they came up with a really neat solution for installing. It's probably the quickest and the of all pickup that you can, or microphone that you can install, like the easiest and quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does muffle a little tiny bit the sound, almost like when, some people are not going to like that I say this, but like almost like when you play without shoulder rest, it does muffle.
So controversial. Ooh, the shoulder rest controversy.
What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, I can't speak to the muffling of the instrument, not playing it, but hearing it, I would need to hear last year's video to remind myself what the Mark 1 versus Mark 2 differences are. I was very impressed, though, with what we did today, especially the recording version, the V model. The main difference right off the bat is one of volume, of sensitivity. The recording version is considerably hotter than the live version. We haven't yet carefully listened back and tried matching the volumes. I did feel that the recording version, the V model of both the 5200 and the 5300, felt a little richer and a little fuller to me. And my sense was the LB models, in addition to lower sensitivity, were a little more mid-rangey, a little more nasal, a little more pinched sounding.
Yeah, and both units are priced the same, but there's a very different and unique philosophy of use with the entire line of Remics. In a way, we have the idea of a studio purpose-specific microphone, violin-specific microphone, and cello-specific microphone is a really, really interesting concept. After we have this interview, I feel like I want to call Thorkild, who insisted that we try these initially, and speak with him about it, because I initially did not think that it was appropriate to test the studio mics, because our entire platform is about testing mics that are for live use. We don't test Neumann microphones in here, or Shootout, old Telefunkens or AKGs, or all of the cool toys that you have here in the studio, Scott, because it's such a different kind of apples to orange thing. But Thorkild insisted, and at first I really kind of didn't see the point, especially in the $1,200 or so price range. Forgive me if I'm getting the exact amount wrong, tax and the euro and all of that. It didn't seem like something that made sense. But as we started to hear Luis test the mic, which I agree, compared to the live mic, seemed to have a much broader, richer sort of spectrum of sound. I was just getting more of the violin frequencies. All of a sudden, there were some really interesting things that came to light, and a studio-specific violin microphone started to make a little bit more sense to me.
Yeah, it's a test for another day to see if the sound isolation, the separation between the signal from the mic picking up the instrument versus external noise is any different between the two models.
Yeah.
If it is, and I'll just say, we were having a hard time hearing Luis speak to us just hearing that mic.
Just with the live, or I'm sorry, the studio mic.
Right.
We were having trouble hearing Luis speaking.
I had to bring up the room mic
Yeah,
just for us to communicate. So it speaks very well to the degree of isolation that is there. If it's different than the LB model, that's a test we need to try
yeah.
another time.
Yeah, but having that isolation to sound quality ratio be so high as compared to, say, a normal studio mic. Like if you had the 414 we had in the room, there'd be no way to get that level of isolation. That creates a lot of interesting possibilities in the studio. Like, for example, if your room that you record in at your house is not very good, has a lot of weird vibrations or frequencies you can't control, this would give you a tremendous amount of isolation right off the bat and would allow you to get more consistent recording results, whether you were in your, I don't know, your bedroom or a hotel room or something like that, because you really are isolating that violin signal. And that was something I never even thought of.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that seems to be one of the primary selling points of that line is that is for live use. You
Yeah.
can be on a loud stage
Yeah.
and still hear an instrument that normally is never nearly as loud as an amplified a keyboard or guitars.
Yeah, yeah, and I would assume the Mark II of the live ones hold up just as well as the Mark I live versions, the LB versions did. If you want to hear the special loudness test we did of those, you can check it out on our website. And if you want to hear how these sound, check us out, www.electricstringplayer.com. We'll see you next time.